What's up, everybody? Gerald, Mr. BPOZ here, and I am here with you on our very first video of our 3-part video series of the Me First Challenge. Don't forget that the Me First Challenge is designed to help you prioritize your well-being so that you can actually create, build, and nurture the life that you truly want. So many times we see our clients living a life that they would not have designed for themselves. Most of the time feeling pressured into this life by some decision of their own or external, and we do not want that to happen to you. So here's your opportunity to finally do something for yourself, and I'm so excited to get started. Our very first video is about revisiting our past. Let's do this into 3 sections. We have tools, where I'm going to give you a list of questions. We have tips, where I'm going to tell you how to process those questions. And then we have an experiment where I'm going to give you an activity for you to do in your own time. So let's get started, and I can't wait for you to pick yourself first. Revisiting your past is probably one of the most important steps you can do. It allows you to reflect on your past experiences, gain insights, and also learn from those mistakes that you've made. This is very important because it allows you to understand your past behaviors and thoughts, right? And those are built into your core beliefs. It helps you to identify your own patterns of successes and failures, which is key because most of the time we fail and succeed very similar ways and under very similar context. But really, they're just patterns of successes and failures. Some of the things that you believe that you aren't good at is just because you had too many strings of not getting it right. Not necessarily an indication of if you're capable of being able to do that or not, but that you just had a little bit too many indications that they weren't on par for you to move past. So going back and revisiting some of these scenarios is going to be very, very crucial for you. I will say as a caveat, we're not just hunting for trauma or negativity. We're actually hunting for everything that's memorable. Maybe there is a space in your life that you have more confidence than necessary. Maybe there's an area of your life that you don't have any confidence in that started from when you were a 13-year-old. So it's very important to go back. And I'm just going to read from my notes because I want to make sure that I'm clear and concise with what I'm doing, because there are benefits to looking back. Those benefits are just being self-aware. Having self-awareness is a crucial life skill, and looking back to see where you've been gives you a large portion of that self-awareness. It helps you to improve in your decision making because we know that it's easier to make good decisions when you've done it before. And it also gives you the ability to let go of negativity and even let go of your faux positivity. The negativity one is, obviously we know this, right? It is important for us to reach back at some of the things that have shaped some of our negative thoughts so that we can reconcile those, because that's essentially what trauma is. Unreconciled emotional situations. We have not dealt with those things, so they keep recycling itself in our lives. The second thing is also tearing down some of the fake positivity, whether that's positivity that we created around a negative situation to allow us to cope better, or if it's a belief that something is positive even though it has no real impact on your life. So we want to make sure we're going back for those reasons. So I'm going to give you a list of questions in our tools that is going to help you kind of extrapolate some of that information from your past. Let's get started. Your pro tip is don't be afraid to revisit your past. Write a timeline and list unresolved issues to gain insight, not beat yourself up about it. All right. I hope you have your worksheet because this is going to be so much easier if you're using your worksheet. I'm going to give you a little bit of time in between to go ahead and write your answers down, to fill out the sheet. So, question number 1 is, what were some of the most significant events in your life? There are no wrong answers. Whatever comes to mind, write it out. Question number 2. How did these events impact you? Physically, emotionally, mentally, spiritually, etc. Explain it in whatever form makes sense to you. Number 3. What were some positive experiences you've had in the past? Take a moment and write that down. Number 4. What were some unresolved issues from your past? Take this serious and take as much time as you need to write down all of your unresolved issues. Number 5. How have these unresolved experiences affected your present life? Take as much time as you need and give it some thought. Those 5 questions could be difficult and also unravel some emotional things or some tough things to actually have to deal with. So I'm going to give you 4 tips that I think are extremely important as you're doing this, because ideally I want you to do this as often as possible and at different moments of your life so that you can really extrapolate the information about yourself so you can be prepared to make the changes that you need. So I'm going to give you 4 tips on how to prepare for that. Number 1 is practice self-compassion and forgiveness. Recognizing that everyone makes mistakes and experiences pain. That is extremely crucial because it isn't your fault. Any of the things that have happened in the past, it isn't your fault. Even if you've been dragging it with you for 20 years, it isn't your fault. Have some self-compassion and forgive yourself. Forgive yourself right now for bringing 10 years worth of pain into this moment. Forgive yourself because you deserve to move forward. Number 2 is identify and challenge all of the negative beliefs that are associated with answering those questions and the thought patterns that are associated with it. They develop as a result of past traumas. So you got to identify, challenge these negative beliefs that come up, because in our past trauma or unresolved emotional situations, we usually leave those scenarios with negative baggage that we now apply to our lives. Number 3, use your past experiences as a source of strength and resilience. Now it took me a while to learn this, but it's literally a game changer. You have a choice to view your past as pain or as an act of overcoming. You can look back at what you have been through in your life and you can say, I have been beat up and bruised and torn to shreds. Or you can say, I have been beat up, bruised, torn to shreds, and I still made it. I'll pause on that. You still made it. Just a quick shift of your mind and using the things that you have gone through in the past as a source of strength can change your outlook into the future. But that's a different video. We'll talk about that in another one. All right, number 4, seek support. I don't care if it's a friend, a coach like myself. I'm more than willing to talk to you, but it doesn't have to be me. It doesn't have to be any professional. It could be a support group. It could be a best friend. It could be a mother, a father, or anyone that you trust going through this process with. But I would highly suggest you consider finding a therapist, finding a counselor or someone that does provide professional services, I'll drop my links so that you can contact me as well. And those are my 4 tips. Now, let's get into our experiment. This is a thing that I want you to do. I'm going to give you the instructions, and then I'm going to read mine. We're ready for our experiment. Our experiment is writing a letter to our younger self. I know it sounds simple and even elementary to a degree, but it might be one of the most impactful things that you may do for yourself. Let me read you the instructions of what I want you to do. 1. Set aside some quiet time. Find a peaceful place where you can sit and reflect on your past experiences without interruption. 2. Choose a specific time period. Decide on a particular phase of your life that you want to write about. This could be a happy time or a difficult time, so you don't have to choose. Address your past self. Start your letter by addressing your past self directly, using language that you would use if you were speaking to someone else, meaning past tense. Write from a place of compassion. Use compassionate and supportive language throughout your letter, reminding your past self that they are loved and worthy of happiness. Number 5, reflect on the lessons learned. Reflect on the lessons you have learned since that time and share them with your past self. Think about what you would have done differently, what you would have told yourself, and what advice you would give. Number 6, allow yourself to feel. Allowing yourself to feel whatever emotions come up during the writing process is okay. To cry, laugh, or feel any other emotions that may arise. And then sign off with love. That's number 7. End your letter with a message of love and compassion for your past self. Number 8, keep the letter in a safe place. Once you're done writing, keep your letter in a safe place where you can revisit it whenever you need to, or just destroy it. And before I let you go and do your own work, I'd like to read you the letter that I wrote to myself, my past self. Dear 11-year-old Gerald, first, I'd like to say sorry for what happened to you. And although I wish different, you won't reconcile what happened to you for another 25 years. And from now until then, this will fuel many bad decisions in your life. But overcoming those decisions is what is ultimately going to create the fires inside of you to care for other people the way you desire to be cared for, but feel no one does right now. This process is going to create a storm so strong in you about giving the world positive energy and helping other people do the same that they will eventually begin calling you Mr. BPOZ, short for be positive. It's crazy to think that you, Gerald Mays, sexually abused at 11 and feeling tossed to the side and forgotten, will be at the center of other people gaining control of their own lives and working through their own trauma. So be encouraged. It doesn't get easier for a while, but you are strong and capable of getting through it all. P.S. You find a wife that loves you as well as children who never had to deal with, excuse me, that's a little tough to read. You find a wife that loves you as well as children who never had to deal with the fear you developed over time. I love you, little buddy. You are my beginning. Love, future Gerald Mays. So I thank you for indulging me in my letter. I felt it necessary to provide some insight into some of my own past struggles and trauma as well. As you can see, I was molested at 11 years old. So I too have my own trauma. And if there's anything that I would say about my own past trauma, is very simple. If I can get through it, so can you. So thank you. Can't wait till next time.